He said, what do you mean? He said, well, I said the prayer, but I don't feel saved. He said, well, all right, it's that you don't understand what I was saying? You don't understand what the prayer means? He goes, no. I understand what you're trying to say. He said, I understand it completely. He said, and I want it. And I would love to be able to say that. But he said there was no change of heart. Although he wanted to be saved and he said the prayer, his heart didn't change. And one of the things that Romans talks about in chapter 12 is our heart change and our action change. And it's a complete transformation. And when you ask somebody to pray a prayer and they say it, they're going to start believing it. But this gentleman said, I don't have a change of heart. I don't have a change of heart. I said the prayer, but I know I'm not saved. I don't feel saved. I don't have a change of heart. I haven't changed my actions. I haven't changed my mind. Nothing has happened. And Paul, he was going to die in 3 weeks. That was another thing. He said, I wanted to do this because I was going to die. I'm going to die in 3 weeks. And Paul says, he's a healthy guy. He didn't expect that. And Paul said, I took the opportunity, and he told him that he would spend the next 3 weeks. I'll cancel everything that I'm doing. We'll stay in this building for 3 weeks, going over the promises of God and these things of God to see if your heart might change. And they went over it day in and day out and day in and day out, and he would still ask the man every single time, and he'd say, I believe, but there's still no change of heart. And he went through this for a long time with the gentleman. And eventually, the guy did realize that he had a change of heart, and he did come to that conclusion. But the biggest thing was he knew saying something wasn't going to be enough. Paul Washer had to invest time into the gentleman for salvation to occur, to make sure that salvation happens, to make sure that the individual really knows the promises that they make and the promises that they speak. A lot of evangelism today. We talked about evangelism in our vision team meeting. We want to be able to teach people how to share Christ with individuals and help them come to Christ, understand Christ, and hopefully get salvation. John Wesley, he wrote a book. It's called Nothing to Do But to Save Souls. That's the goal. But people have to want it. And when we do evangelism, what do you see most evangelists do? They talk to somebody, they get to a point, and when you get to the end of the conversation, they always try to get the person to say the prayer. Well, all right, if you're unsure, just say this prayer and then you'll be saved. And then that's it. And usually that evangelist doesn't have anything else to do with that person, and then it's over and done with. You're on your own, you're by yourself, you have no help, and you walk away and that's it. And there's no investment. Well, when I read through Romans, I'm not going to read through it now because I want you to read through it at home. And I want you to examine. I'm confident that we have Christ here. I'm confident that we're okay. But I may not be right. I may not be right that everybody in the congregation knows Christ. I can't know for a fact. John Trott, you're pretty confident that everybody here is in Christ, right? But do you know? Should you be worried if somebody maybe isn't?
Definitely.
Romans 12 is pretty convicting, right, Mary?
Indeed.
Yeah. Me, Monica, Mary, and Larry all picked something out of there and said, man, which one do we wish didn't get mentioned that we had to do in terms of a characteristic? Because it's just hard for us to do. You know, we haven't changed our thinking on this thing. I want each of us to think about when we made a claim that we say, oh, I'm a Christian, you know. I came to Christ on this date. Okay. Think about when you came to Christ. You know, why you came to Christ. And I really want you to think about whether you understand what salvation is and why salvation. And if you don't understand it, I would like you to talk to one of the leaders of the church privately. Nobody has to know. You know? But the most important thing is making sure that we didn't just say something without knowing or without believing. Without actually having it in our hearts, without having the change. Because a lot of us, you guys grew up in the time of Billy Graham. And Billy Graham crusades will go out and save as many people as possible. You know, say whatever you need to say in order to get that person to accept Jesus Christ. But it's investment. You know, you really need to invest in somebody's life in order for them to truly understand the gospel, to truly grasp what's being said, because they can understand it, and they can believe it, and they can repeat it, and they can say it. But if there's no change in their heart, and there's nobody to stir them along to look for that change in their heart, it's not going to be of any value to anybody. So, we have a lot of people in our life, and we have a lot of friends here. And we see what happens. You know, when we're friendly, you all remember Melvin, and made an investment in your life, made an impact on your life. Some of the things that you've seen Melvin do, or heard Melvin do, or you've done with Melvin, you still remember it, it impacts how you act, and yeah, you know, he did this, this is a good idea. You know, he emphasized this, I'm going to live this way. We model our character off other people, and we need to invest that in others. Investments don't grow unless you invest it again. You play the stock market, you invest it, you get returns on that, and you reinvest it. And we have to reinvest what we have and make sure that we're putting time into the people that we are sharing with. You know, it's not a simple thing. It's not a one-time guarantee. Because they don't believe it sometimes. Read Romans. Read Romans 12 over and over and over and over and over again. And keep it on top of your mind. Because that's your manual. And that's how people are going to look at you. Unbelievers hold you accountable to Romans 12 every single day of your life. Your family holds you accountable to Romans 12 every single day of your life. Your friends, the people that you're ministering to, the people that you're evangelizing, the people at your work. If they know you're a Christian, they're holding you accountable to Romans 12 every single day of your life. So read over Romans 12. Make sure you try to emphasize it. And when you invest in people's lives, don't ask them to say the prayer. Because it becomes an illusion. You tell them they say it, they're saved. They may say it, they may not believe it, and it becomes an insurance policy. And they don't ever do anything ever again. And then you can't convince them. You can't convince somebody that they may not be saved because they say, well, I said the prayer. So be careful. Just be careful in your ministry. Be careful in your life. And be careful with your friends. Invest. Don't take it easy. Don't make it simple. Invest. Put a lot of time into it. Put a lot of effort into it. When you share Christ, make it long term. Read Romans 12. I'm going to ask who read Romans 12. Your hands are going to be going up. Everybody's going to see who did and didn't read. I guarantee it.